Hi there, thank you for joining us for our Order Desk demo here today. My name's Louie, I'm our onboarding specialist here at Order Desk, and today we're going to go over some of the essential functions that Order Desk offers to merchants to help them better not only manage their orders, but also automate their order management processes. Automation is kind of our bread and butter here at Order Desk. It is what our app is most fine-tuned to be able to offer merchants. And it's sort of our passion, being able to give you the ability to make the processes you do easier so you can spend less time focusing on some of the technical or laborsome aspects of order management. And you can focus more of your time and attention on the aspects of your business that you're more passionate about, that need more of your attention, and that will hopefully help your business continue to grow and to succeed. So with that, a quick description of what Order Desk is and does. As an order management application, you can use us to bring in your orders from your shopping cart, make any modifications that could be necessary to them, send them off to be fulfilled by a fulfillment service. And then once that service has actually shipped out the order, they will send us the tracking information, and then we can pass that back along to your shopping cart all automatically. And of course, the order management process portion there in the middle, this is where Order Desk really shines, because you can actually make a number of changes to the orders as necessary. You can split orders, you can sort orders, you can add items to orders, you can remove items from orders, you can add additional information associated with the order that your fulfillment service might need, but maybe didn't come from the shopping cart. So there's a lot you can do with Order Desk, and today we're going to try to scratch the surface on some of those things. As I mentioned, my name is Louie. I am our onboarding specialist here, and what that means is that it's my job to help customers and merchants like you get set up for success on our app. Like many apps, the learning curve to using Order Desk can be a little steep at times, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help try to flatten that out as much as possible and help you get set up for success to make sure that your unique order management workflows are being accommodated by our app. And I do that along with a wonderful support team here at Order Desk. Our entire staff, our entire company is really dedicated to helping customers get up and running on Order Desk as effectively as possible. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. This is a quick agenda of what we have on the docket. We're going to start by first looking at how to create an Order Desk store so that we can know, what that process is going to entail. From there, we're going to look at how to get orders into Order Desk, a couple different ways that you can do that, and then how to actually begin managing or organizing those orders once they're here in our app. And then finally, we're going to talk about Order Desk's bread and butter. We're going to look at how to automate, or at least begin setting up the process of automating your order management using our rule builder. That's sort of our core feature that we offer in our app, and will be something we'll definitely be exploring here today in this demo. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just actually move right on into it. This is our mascot Otto, who's going to kind of guide us here from our presentation over into the actual live demo. So this is our website. This is orderdesk.com. This is where you can go to start if you don't yet have an Order Desk store. If you do have an Order Desk store, you'll be able to skip this portion because you'll be able to just log right into your store. But if you don't yet have a store, you're going to want to start right here. And you're going to want to go ahead and start by clicking on this nice big Get Started Today button. Doing so will bring us to a screen that will depend a little bit on whether or not we're logged in. So in my case, I'm currently logged in, so I can begin creating a new store right this second. If I wasn't logged in, or if I didn't have an account yet, I'd be brought to a screen that would give me the ability to either log into my existing account or to create a new account and a new store right from that setup screen. But let's go ahead and create our new store here. I'm going to call this, let's call this Order Desk Demo, and create the store. And just like that, we have a new Order Desk store. This is a real store. This is live. I can begin processing orders just like that. What you'll notice at the top here is we have this little banner that tells me I have 30 days left in my free trial. That's because every single Autodesk store comes with a 30-day free trial, and it's completely free. You don't have to enter in a credit card to be able to use Autodesk, so you don't ever have to worry about coming to the end of your trial and getting charged. We can't charge you. We don't have your card information. So you can use Autodesk in its entirety in this 30-day trial. This means that you can connect to your real shopping carts, your real fulfillment services. You can bring in real orders, process them, send back real shipments, the whole 9 yards, all in this 30-day free trial. And then after that point, we have 3 different plans that you can sort of choose between to determine what's going to be the best Autodesk plan for you. Basically, these plans are essentially broken down by the total volume that you might be doing. We won't get too far into the weeds on that, but just wanted to highlight that that is a decision you don't necessarily have to make until you're to the end of your demo period. Okay? But while we're here in our store, let's take a look around and see what we have. What you'll notice is that we are brought immediately to the page that allows us to manage our integrations. And Autodesk is pretty well set up for a lot of merchants. We have currently, at the time of recording, over 250 different integrations that fall amongst a number of categories. So if you're currently using a service, there's a pretty decent chance that we are able to connect to it, especially if it's a popular service. So we've broken these up among a couple different categories. So shopping carts, these are obviously where orders are generated, and you'll see some of the big names here. We've got Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, eBay, Etsy, Amazon, Squarespace, Foxy, Weebly, Walmart. The list goes on and on, quite literally, as you can see. We won't explore all of these. We do have also some shipping integrations that allow you to either generate postage or send your orders off to be fulfilled through your fulfillment pipeline. We have dedicated fulfillment integration services. FBA, Fulfilled by Amazon, is a big one that I want to point out. A lot of folks use them, and we are integrated with them. And then additionally, just to mention, if you are a print-on-demand provider, then we have got a load of printers here. We've got several dozen printers that we're already connected with. So if one of these is the printers that you send your orders to be printed, you can connect automatically, and then you would just do a couple things to set up your inventory in Autodesk to be able to send them your items ready to print, and they'd be able to print that all automatically for you. So today we're going to start by taking a look at connecting a shopping cart. I'm going to connect a really popular one, Shopify, and we're going to look a little bit into its settings, but do note that, just because we're looking at Shopify doesn't mean that what we're talking about only applies to Shopify. This will apply to a number of different integrations as well. So let's go ahead and enable Shopify here. And right now, I can just go ahead and enter my Shopify store. So let me get that plugged in. And then continue. I'm going to install it on my store here. And just like that, I'm connected to my Shopify store. This is my real Shopify store. This is a store that actually has orders in it. So as you can see, connecting is relatively easy. The process for connecting is going to be a little bit different depending on the integration. Some integrations will allow you to basically just click a button, and as long as you are logged into that service in another browser tab, you're good to go. Some of them are going to need you to enter API details or API credentials. So be sure to keep in mind the different integrations for the different services that, the different needs for the different integrations that we have. If you're ever uncertain, you can always click on this little question mark here and search for the name of your integration. And this is going to bring up the relevant guide for that integration. So if I click the Shopify integration here, I can see information on how to actually set up and connect my Shopify account. And we have that for nearly all of the integrations that we currently support. Okay, so let's keep an eye here in Shopify and take a look at some of the options that we have. What you'll notice is we have this option called Instant Download. This is available for some integrations, for some shopping cart integrations, I should say, but admittedly, not all shopping cart integrations. It's worth keeping in mind when you connect your shopping cart to take a look at the options available. In the case of Shopify and a few others, the instant download option basically lets you say, hey, as soon as this order is created at my shopping cart, go ahead and import it right into OrderDesk. Additionally, we have the option to run what's called a backup check. So in this case, if I click this, what this is telling OrderDesk now is, okay, download every order as soon as it comes in, and every 6 hours, go ahead and check and see if there were any orders that may have gotten missed. Every now and again, with instant download enabled, if there's a hiccup in the payment processing of the order, we might not be able to pull it in instantly. So setting the backup check allows you to pull that order in at a set interval later, so that you don't have to worry about it getting missed. So I would highly recommend on Shopify and other stores that allow you to do an instant download to definitely set that backup check schedule. Note that if your shopping cart doesn't have the option for an instant download, then the backup check schedule, although called a different thing in the other integrations, basically gives you the same option. It basically lets you say, hey, go ahead and check every hour for new orders. One example is, say, a service like Squarespace. If you're using Squarespace as your shopping cart, it doesn't have an instant download option currently, but you can tell us to check once every hour for new orders, so that you can make sure that your orders do continue to come into OrderDesk. From there, we have a few filter options that let us indicate which orders we want to bring in. These filter options are going to be different per integration, so make sure you take a look at those. And then additionally, we have the ability to actually manually import orders if we need to. So in my case, I'm actually going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to, I've got, should be 14 or 15 orders in my Shopify store that I want here in OrderDesk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, enter a date to search back to. Let's actually make this maybe 01. We're going to go all the way back. And we're going to import orders and see what Shopify can find. It might take a second, but once this has run, we'll see that all of my historical orders that met my import criteria listed here will come in. So we're going to look a little bit more about how to manage those orders that have now imported, but I did want to make a couple other notes about some relevant features here, or relevant settings, I should say, in the integration settings. The first is this option that says sync tracking numbers. This is going to be available in nearly all shopping carts. And if I click enabled, this is what allows OrderDesk to automatically send my shopping cart the tracking information when it's added by my fulfillment service. So that's really important if you want that piece automated and if you don't want to have to manually add tracking numbers for orders as those are fulfilled. The other really helpful one is the sync inventory. This allows me, if I have inventory items here in OrderDesk and the SKUs on those inventory items match my SKUs in Shopify, this is how you can tell OrderDesk to let my shopping cart, in this case Shopify, know when my counts have changed. This means if I, let's say my inventory counts decrease in OrderDesk, that information can be passed to Shopify so that way the inventory counts decrease there as well. So if I run out of an item as reported in OrderDesk, I can tell Shopify I'm out of that item as well. This is a feature that is not exclusive to Shopify. This is also available on most shopping cart integrations. So this is one way, of course, to get orders into OrderDesk is through an actual integration. But let's say I'm using a shopping cart that isn't integrated with OrderDesk, or have some other way to get orders from my customers, but it's not through an integration that OrderDesk supports. What are my options then? Well, this is where we have a really helpful tool that we call import templates. You can access those by clicking on import data here. And this basically lets you set up a template to let us know how to read order information that you want to send to us. It doesn't have to just be order information. You can also import in bulk new orders. You can import shipments for orders. You can import inventory items, and you can even modify orders that exist in your store. We often get asked, hey, I need to import orders into OrderDesk. Can you give me a demo, CSV file or whatever that I can fill out to import into OrderDesk? And the great news here is you don't need a sample file. We don't have a single prescriptive way that a file needs to be structured in order for us to be able to pull that information in. That's what the template is for. The template actually lets you tell us what information can be found in the file you're trying to upload. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you how this works really quickly. We're going to call this new orders. And let me go ahead and choose a file here. And let me upload this file. Okay, so a couple things to note about the import template page itself. The first thing to note is we have this thing called an order match column. This basically lets you tell us, hey, I've got order information that's not all on one single line. It's across different lines. That's no problem. You just need to tell us which column the order number can be found in, and then as long as all of those lines are next to each other, or one on top of each other in the template itself, we will basically scan the column that pertains to it, pertains to the order number, and combine all of those together so that way you can include things like multiple items on multiple rows in your spreadsheet. In the case of the spreadsheet in my demo today, things are not grouped that way, so I'm not going to worry about that. The other thing to note is the skip first line tool. This is going to be helpful if you have column headers in your file. So if the first row of your spreadsheet is the header for the data, then you're going to want to click this option to tell us, hey, when we're importing the file, go ahead and skip that first row. If the first row is actual data that you need imported, then you're definitely going to want to deselect that to make sure that we are still importing that information. But in this case, I am using column headers, so I'm going to leave that checked. The final thing that I'm going to call attention here to today is that we do have this email address that you'll notice at the top of my template. This email address is generated for every template I create uniquely. So this is this template's email address. No other template has this same email address. And what I can use this for is I can actually send an email to this address with my file attached to it, and Autodesk will be able to import that file from the attachment. This is helpful if you don't want to have to come into Autodesk and manually upload the file every time. If you just want to attach it to an email and send it our way. Okay? From there, let's go ahead and talk about these match fields. This is where you can tell Autodesk what the different columns in your template pertain to. So I'm going to go ahead and actually map my columns here to the Autodesk fields that they pertain to really quickly. This will probably take a quick sec, but bear with me. We're going to call this order ID because that's what it's called in Autodesk. This is going to be the customer full name. This is going to be their email address, their shipping address 1, their shipping city, state, and zip, the SKUs for the order, the item name, quantity, and of course, the price. Okay, so what I can do now is I can save this template, and then when I go to import information, I've now told Autodesk what the different columns pertain to. But this is incredibly important because this often yields a little bit of confusion. So I want to try to clear that up as best I can. Since I have told Autodesk which columns pertain to which piece of data, it's important that not only do I always make sure that my data in my spreadsheets is structured exactly the same way. That is to say, my first column is always my order number. My fourth column is always my first line of my shipping address. My eighth column is always the item quantity, etc. Not only is it really important that I do that, but it's also really important that I don't upload any files that have a different number of columns than what I've told the template to expect. In this case, I've told the template to expect 9 columns, which means Autodesk is going to get really confused if I try to upload a file that only has 8 columns, or if I try to upload a file that has 10 columns. So this is what's really important to keep in mind about import templates. You want to make sure that the file you're uploading to the template always matches exactly with the structure of the template you have set up. Okay, so as long as we do that, we should be good to go. I'm going to save my changes. And then I'm going to come back here to my actual import template page, and I'm going to upload a file here. So let's go ahead and import this file. Go ahead and click upload. And it's going to take a second, but what I'll see is I had 10 orders successfully import. I can tell because they're in this little green box. And I'll notice over here that I also see 10 more orders in my store than existed previously. There's obviously a bit more that can be done with import templates. As I mentioned, you can set up other kinds of data to come in, whether that be inventory items, shipments, modifying existing orders. We won't go into details on those right this second, but I would recommend taking a look at our knowledge base guide, which again can be accessed from this little question mark here. And I'm going to type in spreadsheet, and we'll see that here we have our guide on how to import a spreadsheet into Orderdesk. But mind you, if you're looking through this guide, you're still not totally sure you follow, or you have a specific question, do know that you can also, from this little question mark, send an email directly to our support team to help get you an answer as quickly as possible. We're, of course, happy to help. Okay, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit here. Now that we've talked about how to get orders into Orderdesk, either through an integration or through an import template, let's talk about how to begin managing those orders once they're here. So I'm going to hop over here into my folders, and I'm going to click on my new folder. And what we'll notice here is that I have got 24 orders sitting in my new folder. An important thing to note is each order has a little logo next to it indicating where that order came from. So we can see all of my Shopify orders have this little green Shopify logo. All the orders I imported from my import template have an Orderdesk logo. If I was bringing in orders from WooCommerce, they would have a WooCommerce logo. That's a quick way to hopefully help you be able to parse out the, where the order source is and where it came from at a quick glance. Okay, the folder is basically the way that Orderdesk is used to track the statuses or the place in process of a given order. You can think of these as kind of like status updates, or a lot of people might use the term, like the specific designation of where the order is in the process. Folders in Orderdesk are meant for that. And so as a result, Orderdesk has given you a couple different folders that we think are a good starting point, but of course might not totally match your particular workflow. So if that's the case and you need additional folders, that's no problem at all. You're just going to want to go ahead and click on this little gear icon to edit the folders that are there, as well as add or remove any as needed for your personal workflow. Okay, so for instance, let's say I want to move close, so that way it comes after canceled. And I don't want this folder to be called prepared. Let's say I would rather this folder be called update. No, actually, I'm going to call it ready to submit. And what we'll notice is that this has updated here in my folder menu there. But let's say I also have some additional folders that I need to add. So let's say I want to add a folder that is called sent to vendor 1. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here after ready to submit, but before cancel. This is where I'm going to send orders to when they're ready to be sent. And let me add, when they've actually been sent. And let me add another folder called sent to vendor 2. Okay, so now I'm going to use this as a way of tracking where in the process my different orders are. Let's say I have 2 fulfillment services. Some orders go to one, some go to the other. I want to know when orders are at vendor 1. I want to know when other orders are at vendor 2, and then I want to know when those other orders are closed, we'll say. This is not the only thing that you can do to customize folders. As you may have remembered, when we came in here, we had a number of different columns of different pieces of information about the order. Let's go ahead and customize this, because let's say I have some different things that I need for for my own management that I don't want showing in the folder, or that the default folder doesn't, it already has, but I don't necessarily need. So for instance, let's say I don't want their shipping first name and their shipping last name in there, but I do want their email address. And I do want to know what the total value of the order was. Okay, let me go ahead and head back to the folder now and see how this changes things. So I come back to my new folder. Okay, here we go. I can see the customer's email address. Now I can see the total value of the products in the order, which is going to be separate from the total value of the order. I can see quantity, etc. We won't go into much further detail on this, other than to say folders are basically where you can go to begin the process of editing and organizing your orders here in OrderDesk. They are the chief way that you sort of track the status of your orders. And what's really helpful is if you've set up your store to basically use folders as statuses, you can usually see where something may have gone wrong. If an order is sitting in the ready to submit folder, but should have been sent to vendor 2 and therefore sitting in that folder, the fact that it's still in the ready to submit folder may be an indication that something has gone wrong, so you can check in on it. So it's a really helpful and handy way to keep tabs on those orders. From there, let's actually take a look at what an order in OrderDesk itself looks like, because we know how we can organize them, but I want to see the information associated with the order. So let's go ahead and click on this order here. And we can see some helpful pieces of information about it. So this is sort of the order view page at the very top. It's got information about the order. We've got the order number, the order date. This is some helpful information about the order that has been populated, in this case, from details from the cart. We can also see information about the shipping and billing address. So we can get some quick high-level overview on the order here at the top. Moving along, we have our financial information over here, as well as if I have an integration that supports it, some options for refunding orders. Not all integrations will support this, so you might not see this on every order, but we do see it here because this is a Shopify order, as well as my shipment section. This is where I can see information about any shipments that have been added to the order, as well as where I can go to add a shipment to the order if I need to do so manually. This section here is my item section. This is where I can review all of the items in the order. I can also either manually set variation information. So let's say I'm going to call this one size. This is going to be the large magic set as opposed to our junior magic set as an example. Many integrations will send in these variations to us already, but if they haven't, you can still add them. This is information that's basically meant to be edited as necessary by you. All items in OrderDesk that have any metadata associated with them will also have the option to see that metadata. Metadata and variations can be considered basically the same thing, with the caveat being that variations are meant to be edited and metadata is not meant to be edited. The idea is that metadata is supposed to be static. What we can say is that variations take precedence over metadata. What this means is if you have two fields, or if you have a field that both in the metadata and in the variation that have the same name, then the variation is going to take precedence when that order gets sent to submission. It'll functionally overwrite what's written in your metadata. Moving right along, we have the ability to add notes to the order if necessary. And then I want to take a quick stop here and talk about the order history. Order history is a really, really helpful tool within OrderDesk because it gives you a summary of everything that has happened on an item, on an order here in your store. And this means that if something has gone wrong, or something hasn't happened that you did expect to happen, or something did happen that you didn't expect to happen, the order history is going to be your first stop to see if you can piece together the clues of what might have occurred. I can tell you that our support team will almost always check your order history first to see what clues we can be provided with to get an idea of what may have happened in the order management process. So just want to bring your attention to that. If you're ever in doubt or you're ever in a pickle trying to figure out what happened to an order, first stop, go ahead and check in at the order history. Okay, moving right along, we're also have here order metadata. Order metadata is very similar to item metadata in that it is information about the order itself as opposed to just a specific item in the order. And just like item metadata, it's not meant to be edited. These fields are meant to be static, so I can't come in here and update any of these values. However, we do have what we call checkout data. And checkout data is much like, is to an order what variation data is to an item. This is information that I can input into OrderDesk that I can edit as necessary and will override whatever metadata value is set for two identically named fields. So for instance, let's say I want to call this shipping account. And that's my shipping account. Let's say I have an integration that supports sending orders with a custom shipping account, and the field name in OrderDesk that I should use is shipping account. This will allow you to tell OrderDesk to pass that information along with the order to that fulfillment service. This is a really helpful way of how you, a helpful example of how you can use OrderDesk to manage and change your orders in such a way that they can be read by your fulfillment service when your shopping cart didn't provide that information, which is pretty normal. It's often the case that a shopping cart will provide information that may not be necessary or useful for your fulfillment service, but the shopping cart also doesn't provide information that your fulfillment service needs. That's part of what OrderDesk is here for. It's here so that you can edit the order with the information that would be necessary. Okay, so that's kind of a quick overview of the order itself. But as I was hinting at there, you can use OrderDesk to kind of manage and edit orders as necessary, to add additional information, to take action, to make adjustments, to say change the status of an order that is moving its folder from one folder to another. And the way that we do this is either manually, which we can. As you saw, I could manually add this field here. But ideally, it'd be great if this was automated, so that way I don't have to come into every order and add that field to it. Okay, so the way we do that is with our rule builder. As I was sort of hinting at, this is kind of our main automation tool here within OrderDesk. One thing to note about automating in OrderDesk is most automation is probably going to need to happen in the rule builder, but there are a few things that may be able to happen in an integration. So for instance, let's say I have an integration like ShipStation connected to my store. And every time any order imports into OrderDesk, I want to send that order to ShipStation. I have a little button that I can click in that particular integration settings that tells me send this order automatically. Okay, so that's kind of an automation that we can do in OrderDesk that wouldn't happen within the rule builder. But admittedly, not all integrations support that. And sometimes I want to be able to specify, well, which fulfillment service do I want it to go to? I don't want all of my orders to automatically go right to ShipStation, let's say. I want some of my orders to be able to stay in OrderDesk, or I want some to go to ShipStation and some to CustomCap, my print-on-demand provider, let's say. We can use the rule builder to tell OrderDesk the parameters under which certain actions should be taken, and then to take those actions. So every rule has, in OrderDesk, has four sort of parts. We have the rule type, we have the event, we have the filter, and we have the action. So the rule type is basically whether or not this action should take place on a rule itself, on an order itself, or on an item within an order. Okay? And depending on which of these we choose, we're going to get different events and different actions available to trigger that order to run, and to trigger that rule to run, and to trigger the event or the action that'll run on that when the rule runs. So let's say I choose order rule. The next part is the event. This lets me basically say, hey, when this happens, this is when it's time to run the rule. We have, as you can see, dozens of possible events, and a lot of these can be even integration specific. So the more integrations you add to your store, the more possible events that you may have. We do also have a couple quick and easy ones. We see these ones come up a lot, so we've made them available with a button click. You might find that you have specialty circumstances wherein you need a rule to run, but there's no specific event that really triggers it. In that case, you can set up that event or that rule to run on a custom event, either as a custom button or a custom event. A custom button basically puts a button into the interface that when you click, runs the rule. And a custom event basically lets you set up a schedule on a specific folder to run at a set interval. So every time that appointment runs, whatever action you have set up on the event will run on the folder you've selected. Okay, and then finally, we have filters and actions. Filters basically let you specify when this rule should and shouldn't apply. You have a whole bunch of different possible filter categories to start with, and then you have a bunch of different operators, and then you can enter the requisite value. You can also have multiple filters and tell us to either trigger them so that way everything, all of these filters must be true, or one of these filters must be true. And you can toggle that and or for all of your rules. And then finally, the action. This basically lets you tell OrderDesk what it is you want us to do. And as you can see, we have dozens and dozens and dozens of actions. As you add integrations, you'll have more actions. And then finally, there's the ability to name the rule and tell us whether that rule should start off disabled or enabled. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of a real rule running here in OrderDesk. So I'm going to create a new order rule, and I'm going to select the event folder is changed. And let me go ahead and say that I want this to run only on my Shopify orders. So order source is going to equal Shopify. Okay. Let's say, so my event is when the folder is changed. So I also only want this event to run when I have moved an order into my ready to let's say sent to vendor 1 folder. Okay, so let's call this folder name equals sent to vendor 1. Okay, and now let's set up some actions. And I actually don't want that to be an or rule. I want that to be an and rule. I want both of these values to be true. Okay, so let's set up an action. Let's say that I want to first tag the order a new color. Let's say I want to tag it blue. And I also want to add a piece of checkout data. We're going to call this tag color, and we're going to call it blue. Okay. And actually, let's say I want that event or that action to run before that other action runs. Okay, I'm going to call this my blue rule. Save rule. Okay, so this is now a live rule here in OrderDesk. In a second, we're going to take a look at what this rule looks like when it runs. But before we do, we're also going to take a look at an important facet of the rule builder, and that is the order or arrangement of rules in the rule builder. So let me go ahead, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to change one thing or two things about it. The first is I'm going to remove the checkout data setting, and I'm going to tell this to set the tag as red, and I'm going to call this red rule. What we'll notice is we have two rules here now, both run on the same event, and both of them have the same rule action, right? One tags the order blue, and one tags the order red. Well, we're going to want to keep that in mind because this rule runs second, and that's going to be really important when we actually go to run this rule on an actual order. So let me demonstrate that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here is let me hop back here into my new folder and say, you know what? I've got a couple of orders that I need to cancel in OrderDesk. We're going to start there. That's my scenario. I want to cancel orders in OrderDesk. For instance, I've got this order here that I've got to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change the folder to canceled so that way I know this rule is canceled, or this order is canceled, and I know that I've got rules set up on my in my store, so it should have taken some action. So let's go ahead and hop into the canceled folder. And what we'll notice is, it doesn't look like anything has happened. If I come to the order history, all I see is that the order was moved to canceled. This is a really important illustration of a key facet of Orderdesk, which is that Orderdesk will never do anything unless you tell us to. Okay? So in this case, moving the order into the canceled folder hasn't done anything other than change the folder. This is because I don't have anything set up in my store telling Orderdesk what to do about canceled orders. This is why I need to be really cognizant of the rules that I have and the way I have my store set up. Because if I take an action without ever having told Orderdesk what to do about that action, I'm never going to see anything happen to my orders or my order items within Orderdesk. So let's go ahead and hop back into our rule builder and make an adjustment here, okay? So let's say my filter shouldn't be when it's sent to vendor, it should be when it's canceled. And I want that to be true on both of these rules. So let's update the folder there, okay? I've made this adjustment, so now I should be able to come and take a look at this canceled rule. Oh, and what do you know? There's still nothing that's happened to it. It's still just sitting here completely unaffected. This is important to note because changes are not retroactive in Orderdesk. Changes only apply moving forward. So if I have orders that have already been actioned and I add a new rule, that rule isn't going to run on that order. Okay, so just worth keeping in mind, we do have a way of running an event on orders or folders here in Orderdesk in the event that you add a rule and you need to apply that rule to existing orders that would have had that rule applied earlier. But in this case, we're actually not going to explore that right now, other than to just mention that it's a feature that's there. Okay, but let's go ahead and actually see this rule working now. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select this order and I'm going to cancel it. And I am excited and expecting to see that order canceled. And I come in here and what do you know? There's still nothing that's happened on this order. There's no checkout data set. The tag hasn't been set. All that's happened is the folder changed. Why is that? Well, if I come back in here, in both of these rules, I said that this rule is only going to apply if my order source equals Shopify. And in the case of both of the orders I've moved into the cancel folder, neither of them are orders that came from Shopify. So neither of these rules applied on these two orders. Okay, good to know. Let's head back to our new folder and let's grab a Shopify order and let's cancel that order. Okay, so now we come into our canceled folder and look at that, something happened. Okay, this order has now been tagged, and look at that, it has got the checkout data that we set on it. But seems to be a little bit something odd here. I remember that I set this rule to run on my blue rule to set checkout data, but my red rule seems to have taken precedence, and it doesn't have anything to say about adding checkout data. Well, why is that? If we head back to our rule builder, we'll be able to remember. This rule runs first, and it applies to all orders that it's true on, and then this rule runs second. And as we can see, since this rule had an action that changed the color, but as did this second one that ran second, this second rule overrode the first rule. Okay, so in that case, let me go ahead. Now that I know that and I realize that, I'm going to disable this particular rule, right? So it still exists. I haven't deleted it, but now I'm telling Orderdesk, hey, don't worry about running that. So if I come back here into my new folder and I grab another Shopify order and I cancel it, I'll see now this is set up to do what I want it to be doing. It's tagged the order blue, it's added the checkout data that says it's blue, and it hasn't tagged it red because the red rule has been disabled and is no longer able to work on this particular order. Okay? So that's just the most rudimentary basic introduction to using the rule builder. You can of course use the rule builder to do much more complicated things than we've explored today. You can use it to split orders. You can use it to change folders, to submit orders to your fulfillment services. You can use orders to add items, to remove items, to add checkout data and metadata and variations and item metadata. There's a lot you can do with rules in Orderdesk. It's our chief automation tool, but because there's so much you can do, we recognize that sometimes you might not always be totally sure on precisely how to use it. So this is where I would once again remind you, we've got this little question mark button here. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to type in Rule Builder and see what comes up. Okay, look at this. We've got a guide called How to Work with Rules. This is going to be your first start when looking through trying to determine how do I get set up using rules in Orderdesk. And then from there, if you're still having a hard time figuring out the specific rule you need in your case, don't hesitate to send our team an email. We're of course going to be happy to follow up and guide you through the setup process necessary to get your rules working precisely how you need them to be working. Okay? But with that kind of wraps up our demo here. To recap, we talked about the different ways that we can bring orders in, either via an integration or through manually importing them. We looked at how we can use folders to edit and arrange them. And we looked at how we can use the rule builder to actually automate some of the processes that we use here within our order management flows. We did not cover a couple other important things that we just don't have time for. We didn't talk about how to export data from Orderdesk. So in the same way that I can import information, Orderdesk gives me the ability to set up information to be exported. So that way I can tell Orderdesk the order or the way I want my columns arranged in my export template in the event that I need to send that data over to a fulfillment service and they have a specific way that data needs to be received. We didn't talk about how to create PDFs or send emails within Orderdesk. All of these things are possible and more. And so what I would recommend is taking a look at our relevant getting started guides in our knowledge base. This is a great way to get sort of the high level overview of how Orderdesk works and how to sort of get through the setup steps piece by piece. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you to it. Once again, if you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to check out our knowledge base and take a look at our guides and our documentation on our different integrations and our different features. And then from there, if you still have any additional questions, feel free to send an email to our team. And we'll be absolutely thrilled to help you get up and running. We want you to be successful on Orderdesk. We want your order management to be an easier process for you. We want you to be able to save time. So that way you're not spending day in and day out managing orders and getting this order to this vendor and modifying this one and getting this shipment back to your shopping cart. We don't want you to have to worry about that. We want to take care of that for you so you can focus on the things that you care about and you are passionate about. So if you haven't yet, I would highly recommend creating an Orderdesk store. Once again, it's completely free for 30 days. You can process real orders. You have full access to our app. And while you're getting that set up, please feel free to reach out to our team if you have any questions in the process. In the meantime, I wish you the best and happy order automating. We look forward to talking with you further. Thanks.